You are the creator. You make cities.
Once you have a basic road network laid out, it's time to begin placing essential services such as water and electricity. Let's start with electricity. The first thing to do is to choose how you're going to power your city. You'll see in your power menu that you have the choice between two power plants, wind or a small coal power plant. For starting a city, I prefer building some wind turbines as it's a cheaper option compared to the coal power plant. However, with wind power generation, you must make sure that your map has the right environmental factors to support a wind farm. Go into your info views, then into your electricity menu to make sure that your map has the wind speed required. In this case, I'm good to go. However, there's actually a third method of power generation new to City Skylines 2, which is importing electricity from elsewhere. If you have high voltage power lines running into your starting square, you can simply place down a transformer station near them, connect the high voltage lines to the transformer station, and your city will automatically begin importing electricity as needed. This is a very cost-effective way of powering your city early game until you can afford your own power plant. Of course, it's going to cost you a lot more per megawatt when importing electricity, so be sure to keep an eye on your power usage as it will eventually become cheaper to run your own power plant than to import power. And remember, power lines are now run underneath all roads except highways in City Skylines 2. So no more running random strings of power lines all over your city. Now let's take a look at water and sewage, which is equally as important as electricity. When you go into your water and sewage menu, you'll immediately find that all your roads automatically have water pipes underneath them. That's right, no need to run water pipes all across your city like in City Skylines 1. In City Skylines 2, there are 3 methods of extracting water from your map. The first method is a water pumping station, which can be placed near any body of water such as lakes and rivers. The second option is a water tower, which can be placed anywhere on the map. However, this option is a bit more expensive. The third option is a groundwater pumping station, which is a bit cheaper. The only thing you'll have to watch out for is the groundwater pumping station needs to be placed on top of a groundwater deposit shown here in blue. In this case, I'm going to go with the groundwater pumping station. Don't forget to place a sewage outlet as well to expel your city's dirty water. And be very careful where you place your sewage outlet, as it creates a lot of water pollution which is carried downstream by the current. And lastly, don't forget to connect your sewage outlet to the rest of your sewer network. Finally, once all your basic city services are laid down, it's time to start zoning your city. Your residential demand is most likely very high, so I would start with that. Also make sure to zone a little bit of commercial here and there, mostly along your main roads, and they should immediately start to build. Soon after your city starts building, you should be hit with your first milestone. In City Skylines 2, milestones work differently than in City Skylines 1. Instead of unlocking milestones based on population alone, you'll earn XP towards your next milestone by placing buildings and roads when your city's happiness increases, as well as when your population increases. Click on the progression panel to see exactly what you've unlocked at your current milestone. Each milestone you unlock will reward you with a lump sum of money, some progression points, as well as some expansion permits. By going under the Development tab in the Progression window, you'll be able to see all of the different progression trees, where you'll see all of the different city services that you can spend your progression points on. Expansion permits, on the other hand, are used for expanding your city's playable area. You may just need a little bit more room to expand, or you may want to purchase some extra tiles to gain access to some important natural resources that are just out of your city's borders. At this stage, your zones should start to sprout into buildings, so feel free to increase the simulation speed to make things go a bit faster. I always recommend that you periodically check your city information window, as it gives you a good indication on what type of zone is in demand, as well as displaying what factors are influencing the level of demand for each type of zone. In the very early stages of City Skylines 2, you'll start with 3 different types of zoning: low-density residential, commercial, and industrial. New to City Skylines 2, as you progress in the game and unlock different milestones, you'll unlock more types of zones, such as offices, and eventually high-density residential. For example, the medium-density residential that you see down below was unlocked at our very first milestone, Tiny Town. As businesses and residents move into your city, you'll notice that your industrial demand begins to rise. It's time to build your first industrial zone. Just like in City Skylines 1, you'll want to place your industrial buildings away from your city, as the air pollution that's produced by them will directly affect your citizens' health. However, in City Skylines 2, air pollution can actually be carried by the wind. Make sure you check the wind direction prior to placing your industrial buildings by going into your info view, then down to air pollution. It's also very important to check your water pollution info view to make sure that you're not placing any industrial buildings on top of a groundwater deposit. Whoops. The last item I'll touch on in this tutorial is your city economy window. Early game, there's not a whole lot that you can do here, however you can view some important info about your city's finances. Don't worry too much if you're not making a lot of money or even losing money early game, as you will always have the government subsidies to act as a cushion for your finances. As more and more people and businesses move into your city, you'll be able to collect more tax dollars. The most important takeaway when it comes to city finances is not to overspend on city services until you have a healthy, stable income. I'll go more into detail on city finances in a later video.
With these systems in place, everyone in your city has a shot at living their best life. Let's take a look at electricity. When laying roads, you also install low-voltage underground cables that supply electricity to homes, offices, and shops. These cables plug into transformer stations. Transformer stations are also connected to the high-voltage power lines streaming from your city's power plants. They act as a junction where low-voltage cables and high-voltage lines link up. Together, they form the grid that pumps electricity right across your city. There's one drawback. Power lines and electric cables can only carry so much electricity. When demand increases, they can max out, creating a bottleneck. Keep the grid humming by evenly spreading electricity connections around your city. You can also build power lines to import electricity from neighboring cities. Imported energy will save your bacon if local power plants fail to produce enough electricity when demand increases. It will, too. Expect spikes when the thermostat drops and everyone dials up their heaters. Hot weather will cause spikes too, as people flick on air conditioners, fans, and ice machines at the same time. Your power plants might produce more electricity than your city needs. When that happens, you can export it to your neighbors. While this can offset production costs, think it through. By storing excess electricity in emergency battery stations, you have nothing to worry about when demand rises. Emergency battery stations help your city get the most out of solar power plants. Battery stations power the city at night when the plant isn't producing electricity and recharge when they operate during the day. Of course, solar is just one renewable energy source. You can build wind, water, and geothermal power plants too. Fossil fuels are another way to power your city. Or you can go nuclear. Let's talk water and sanitation. Surface water sources are the same as in city skylines. Expect flowing rivers, glittering lakes, and vast, swirling oceans. Groundwater is different. These underground reservoirs replenish over time, so they can run dry if they're drained at a faster rate than they're refilled. They're also susceptible to ground pollution. When they're contaminated, dirty water is pumped into your city's freshwater system. That's bad on every level, mainly because decontamination takes a long time. Build a groundwater pumping station to tap this resource, and a water pumping station to bring surface water into your city's water system. You can also add water to the system with wastewater treatment plants. These plants can process sewage to produce clean water for homes and businesses. There's another way to manage sewage: sewage outlets. They release waste into open water, which can help prevent sewage from backing up. And that's a must when it comes to public health. Bungling waste management can make people seriously ill. That's why you want to keep sewage outlets well away from pumping, understanding what annoys and delights them, and doing what it takes to give them healthy, happy lives from beginning to end. How? City services. You'll build clinics and hospitals to deliver healthcare, plus the ambulance service people need in life or death situations. Oh, yeah, sometimes it will be a death situation. So you'll add death care services that transport people to the city's crematoriums and cemeteries. You'll set up schools for kids of all ages, plus colleges and universities. After all, education fosters social advancement. life still might take a turn for the worse for some people. When it does, you'll want the safety net of a welfare office. One thing that improves everyone's well-being, no matter what's going on in life, is time outdoors. You'll create parks, plazas, attractions, and landmarks that make people living nearby happier and healthier. As in real life, safety first is a good mantra in City Skylines too. So you'll want various fire and rescue services. Just adding a firehouse reduces the likelihood of a blaze in the neighborhood. Same with police stations. Build them and send patrols out onto the streets to cut crime. Communications is a new city service in City Skylines too, helping you meet more essential needs. That includes the internet. Naturally, the easier it is to connect to the web, the happier everyone will feel and the more profitable the city's businesses will be. Of course, everyone relies on electricity, so you want to avoid long outages. They aren't just aggravating. Blackouts will prompt people to move out and force businesses to pause production, putting profits at risk. Keep electricity lines humming with sustainable energy sources like wind, solar, geothermal, and hydropower. Go old school with fossil fuels like coal and gas. There's always the nuclear option too. This is the most realistic city builder ever. So you'll need to deal with a lot of stuff. We're talking sewage. Gross? Yes. Necessary? Also yes. With a wastewater treatment plant, you can purify sewage and circulate water into your city's freshwater network. Or you can pump sewage into open waters and out of the network. Don't forget to stay on top of garbage. Garbage processing centers, landfills, and an incineration plant will stop it piling up. But don't take shortcuts. Air and water pollution can sink land values, harm the health of residents, and tarnish the city's appeal to tourists. Ready to introduce a city service? Previously, you only had to construct a city service building. When that service needed to cover a larger area or support more people, you simply constructed the same building again. Not anymore. Almost all city services can now be upgraded to scale operations and expand functionality. While city services make your city livable, they come at a cost. Balancing these costs and the very real needs of everyone in your city is the name of the game. Your city's up. Before you know it, your city will have a flourishing furniture trade and a reputation that keeps cash flowing in. Managing and adjusting production chains is another way you can influence your city's economy. Overhauled in City Skylines 2, this adds a whole new dimension to city building. There's no need to micromanage every detail if you don't want to. But if you love a puzzle, there's almost no limit to how deep you can go. Starting from raw material extraction, you can get raw materials into the city by importing them or producing them locally. Opt for local production, and you'll need to establish a specialized industry area. There are 9 total. 4 are farms where you can raise livestock or grow either grain, vegetables, or cotton. Forests produce timber, though how much depends on the age of the forest. You can extract ore, stone, or coal from underground deposits. And lastly, you can drill for oil. You'll manage all this activity via the economy panel. It puts your city's finances at a glance and allows you to monitor and adjust production outputs for various goods and materials. With integrated tools and clear displays, the economy panel is a user-friendly way to manage and grow your economy. They are the veins and arteries of your city's beating heart. Every pathway you carve out shapes the routine every day and opens the door to the extraordinary events that define their lives. City building starts with roads. Roads allow people, goods, and services to move through your city, of course. And in City Skylines 2, all roads except for highways automatically carries water, electricity, and sewage lines. It's a shortcut that lets you focus on what you love about city building sooner. You'll construct and refine your road network using road tools. They're easy to learn and flexible, inviting you to follow your creative impulses. Returning players will welcome upgrades to the road tools that introduce several of the most wished-for features. Other features are totally new. Use the road tools to create seamless city blocks in just 3 clicks. In no time, you'll lay long, beautiful stretches of road to link lively residential and industrial districts to your buzzing city center. Just like that, you'll thread traffic along wide, curving streets and elegant, elevated highways. You'll even add bridges and tunnels in only a few clicks. Intersections have been overhauled in City Skylines too. Placement rules are less restrictive, and you can use pre-made intersections on new and existing roads. You can also add roundabouts. Yep, they're here. From gentle suburban roundabouts to roaring multi-lane roundabouts, it's never been easier to engineer uninterrupted streams of traffic. That's because roads will be configured automatically, so vehicles can enter and exit the roundabout safely. Simply drop your preferred roundabout over an existing intersection and ta-da! A whole new way to move people, goods, and services through your city. Decide the direction of traffic and how it flows by placing traffic lights, crosswalks, and directional no-turn traffic signs and stop signs. Erect sound barriers and construct parking lots. That's another new feature in City Skyline 2. And for returning players, it means Christmas has come early. You can even add decorative touches if you want to. They don't just make your city pretty, they can be useful too. So those trees you use to line sidewalks? Add charm and reduce noise pollution. Of course, building a city is a process of exploration and experimentation. You'll try stuff out. Some of it you'll like, and some you won't. Want to change an existing road? Use the new Replace tool. It's like the old Upgrade tool, but with more freedom to refine your road network. So you should expect the same order and chaos that emerges when countless individual decisions are made all at once. It's a level of vibrant realism you've never seen before, and it's powered by the deep simulation of traffic AI. How people move from A to B in your city is called pathfinding. Previously, pathfinding meant choosing the shortest route by distance, but ignoring factors like travel time and traffic congestion was less than ideal. Pathfinding has changed. In City Skylines 2, 4 main factors influence how people move through your city. These factors are called pathfinding costs. People weigh up these costs to decide where to go and how to get there. The path with the lowest cost is the path they choose. But how people weigh up these costs is very different. To help you understand, let's walk through the 4 pathfinding costs. Time is usually the most important pathfinding cost. Everyone will pick their quickest route to their destination if they can. Comfort is another pathfinding cost. Who doesn't want a smooth journey? Wouldn't you avoid tricky intersections if you could? The availability, convenience, and cost of parking will now impact where people choose to go and how to get there. Easy parking is actually the deciding factor for some people when choosing where to socialize and spend their money. That's another pathfinding cost: money. Fuel, parking, and public transport tickets can seriously add up. So it's a factor in where people choose to go and how they get there. The final factor influencing pathfinding is behavior, or how likely people are to engage in risky maneuvers on the road. U-turns, lane hopping, and speeding can reduce travel times, lower fuel consumption, and avoid some of the inconvenient aspects of travel. To keep pathfinding costs low, people will reroute if something happens on their journey. For example, if they get caught behind a traffic accident that takes too long to clear, they'll find another way to get where they're going. Hang on. Traffic accidents? Afraid so. Drivers can lose control and crash their vehicles into traffic and buildings. Yikes. You see, things like wet roads, extreme weather events, and the time of day can increase the risk of a collision. But it's actually poor road conditions that should keep you awake at night. Want to reduce the risk of serious mishaps? Send your road maintenance crew out ASAP. Traffic AI has improved pathfinding so much that you can now grow a larger population. But remember, a big population brings opportunities and challenges. 2 info views can help you plan and react when life takes a left turn. Traffic Info View takes the guesswork out of traffic management. It delivers a real-time overview of how much traffic is on your road network and traffic, so you can resolve problems quickly. Deep simulation transforms the movement of people, goods, and services through your city into the pulsing reality of a living, breathing city.